Tom, you talk about The Athletic a lot. There's a great article in The Athletic this morning from Jay Morrison and Paul Dehner Jr. talking about what we have talked about a lot. I've made the point about how it feels like the Bengals play calling matured after that Ravens game, and how it felt like they were doing all that weird creative stuff, the shovel pass, all that weird stuff in that game, and how it feels like they've just stuck to their guns since then. And they wrote an article fleshing it all out and talking about how the coaching staff went back to the drawing board and said, hey, why are we trying to do all this creative stuff when we need to just be good at what we're good at? And now they've been the best red zone team in the NFL since then. They went 17 for 17. 17 drives in a row, excluding kneel downs. 17 drives in a row without a touchdown since that Ravens game. 17
with
red zone. 17 consecutive red zone drives ending in a touchdown outside of kneel downs since that Ravens game until this past Sunday against Tennessee when they kicked that field goal with McPherson when Joe got driven back to the 18.
Well,
look. That's a real testament to what this coaching staff, when the fans were so frustrated, there was clear frustration. The coaching staff recognized, hey, we're a good team. We don't need to be doing all this weird stuff. We can just be good at what we're good at. And they proved it. And I think that's a real testament to this coaching staff.
I would agree wholeheartedly. And I was highly critical, primarily, yes, the play calling, especially in the Baltimore game, as you point out, but highly critical, and I still stand by that critique of not having the offensive line start to play together. Charles Davis talked about that at length as the analyst from the game the other day, about how they allow 13 sacks in the first two games, and now all of a sudden, whether it's a run game, certainly in protecting Burrow in the pass game, only allowed one sack to Tennessee. I still stand by that. But you give credit where credit's due. And to your point, I remember all the time, Brian Billick was the one who used to talk about this frequently because his mentor was Bill Walsh when he started his coaching career out there with the 49ers. And the 49ers, there were a lot of teams at the time, but let's just say, now I know they had great players in Montana and Craig and Rice and Taylor, blah, blah, blah. But, Bill Walsh was Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh, one of the great guitarists of all time, but we digress. Bill Walsh, a lot of teams in the NFL would have, let's just say, 100 plays that they could choose from, okay? Bill Walsh had about 30, and all they would do is practice, the same 20. Now, their personnel oftentimes was better than everybody else, but everybody else knew what they were going to run. But they were so good at running what they did best that they didn't have to do all these gimmicks. So it's nice to hear, and a credit to Zach Taylor and his staff, Callahan, all of them.
Yeah.
For getting back to basics.
Yeah. And on top of that, that's without Jamar Chase for the last 4 weeks.
3-1 without Jamar Chase. Who would have thought that? After what we saw with the Bengals against the Browns, you tell me the Bengals go and win their next 3. That's huge.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me. I need to give kudos and respect back to T. Higgins after that Browns game. I called him out. I said, hey, you and Tyler Boyd are not playing up to what we expect you to be playing at. And since then, T. Higgins has been playing out of his mind. If you take out those the 4-game stretch and you spread it out amongst the whole season, he would have like 1,600 yards and 15 touchdowns or something like that. Just something insane. So,
well, that's easy to do when you're piling up numbers when Chase isn't around.
Well, right, but they hadn't been playing like that until
yes.
So I want to give kudos to T. I really, when
Bless you. Thank you.
I was going to come in and just annihilate Tyler Boyd, but until you watch the film and see that he's being like triple covered, he's got a shadow from the safety and the linebacker, and he's got a guy on him. I mean, people are scared of Tyler Boyd too. So T. Higgins should be going off like he is.
Well, I love Tyler Boyd. Look, and no one was more disappointed than that drop he had, which was a critical play in the Super Bowl last year.
His first one, and
yeah, I mean, but it's going to happen sooner or later. And unfortunately for him, it happened at the worst possible time instead of some Week 15 game against whoever. But That guy's a gamer.
He is.
He really, and always has been. He never walks around and complains and goes to the quarterback, why are you throwing the ball to Chase and Huggins and her? He never does that. He just goes out and plays, and about every third or fourth game, there will be that game where he's the guy.
Right.
And the difference between winning and losing. Guys is a total gamer.
Agreed.
Cares.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And,
How about that block, by the way, from
oh,
Hurst?
my gosh. Nasty.
Do we have video of that?
I'll get it right now.
I did not
I'll get it
see
right
this until last night, and I didn't get a chance to watch the second half the other day. We were taking our daughter to the airport to go back to school. I was listening on the radio, but I don't know if they talked about this a lot in the telecast. They had to, over that replay would not have been run, I'm assuming. But this block,
We got it.
they talk about decleating a guy. Watch this block. Now, as you're watching it,
Hang on. I don't have it quite yet.
okay.
I will get it.
But when we watch it, you're going to see to the left of your screen in the formation, to the right of the formation, but on television it'll be to your left, where the Bengals are going to run a play to the right, and then across the formation comes Hayden Hurst. Look at this.
Might be on the right, actually.
Oh my God.
Boom.
That is just in. Guy didn't see it coming.
Talk about smash mouth football.
Is that Bud Dupree?
Yeah, that's Bud Dupree. Ex-Steeler, by the way.
I mean, obviously you hope he's okay. I assume he stayed in the game and all, but I mean that is a vicious hit. I mean, as you want to know how violent football is, this play is as violent as it gets. It's clean. It's not dirty in any form or fashion. It's old-fashioned smash-mouth football, but man, oh man, you start doing that to teams. And talk about your head on a swivel.
And to just wrap up this conversation of the Bengals and how just a smash mouth that they've been here in the last couple weeks, let's look at that P. Ryan play where he looks like a basketball player out there. I mean, he's dribbling heads off of the ground. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah.
There he is.
Boom.
Love it.
I mean, what more can you ask from your backup running back? I mean, he needs to get the ball more often.
You know what? I think you're right on that, Casey. The more you watch this guy, and I'm not going to fall into the camp of bench Mixon and play P. But, he can run it. He can catch it. He's physical. He's tough. He sticks his nose in there. He can block. This guy's a good football player.
Yeah, and it's I know we have a running gag here in the office amongst me and Reed, and I'm sure you're
Should have dove for the ball.
Dove for the ball, but man, he just has always been there when we need him.
Oh no.
He was there for the Chiefs game. He was there for this game, the Steelers game. I mean, he's been there. He's been there when we needed him most. I think it's time to put that to rest. To put that meme, that joke aside, that he should have dove for the ball. We all know he couldn't actually catch that ball. But
do we? Do we know that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we know he couldn't catch that ball. But
Yeah,
again, I wonder if the reason why we haven't seen him get the ball more often or share the touches with Mixon is because we've been so distracted by all the talent we have everywhere else. We've got talent at tight end now. We got 3 really good receivers, a really good backup receiver in Trent Irwin now. I'm sure even some of those other guys are pretty decent too. And now we have P. Ryan, who's playing really great, and even Travion Henderson. He had a really good run there too. I mean,
Solid.
Williams, sorry, excuse me, Travion Williams. I mean,
Might be Travion Henderson in 2 years.
Yeah, that's right. But I mean, our team is just stacked with talent, and this last couple weeks have really proved that.
Well, I think it points out what Doc brought up earlier, and I have always been a huge fan of Duke Tobin. It doesn't mean that every single guy you pick up or every single guy you draft, he is the de facto, if you will, general manager of this Bengals franchise. and has been around a long time. He worked. One of the real strengths of Marvin Lewis was his evaluation of talent. And Tobin and Lewis, and there are others, their evaluation of talent was very, very good. And now Tobin has taken on even higher and more responsibility. The guy, and I'm sure the Brown family will take good care of him, because were it not for the backup players on this team, there is no way that they are sitting at 7-4.
Right. And on top of that, too, you're reminding me again of another player that deserves some kudos. Cam Taylor-Britt, he's been playing pretty good.
Yes.
Except for the one 50-50 ball, but it's a 50-50 ball, and that's going to be tough. And no, he wasn't on the right side of it, but other than that, I mean, he damn near saved the touchdown that Derrick Henry had. I mean, if Jesse Bates is anywhere close to that ball, I mean, they might not have scored a touchdown that game. Just because of Cam Taylor-Britt making a heads-up play, knocking the ball out. I mean, our talent everywhere on that team is just stepping up. And I'm just hoping that maybe we get a talent in the pass rush department at some point. We got to with how well we've been doing, that can just be that guy that we need him to be on third down. Whether that's Joseph Osai or Zach Carter or whoever.
Well, we've been saying that for weeks.
Right.
And maybe sooner or later it happens. I don't know. But nobody's counting on that.
I wonder if it's just because, I mean, when Hubbard and Hendrickson are just always in there. Like, they never come out. So they're just tired, I think. I don't know. Or maybe they're specifically playing a style of football that isn't conducive to pass rush.
Well, I mean, Dan Hort pointed out yesterday that he's been waiting for somebody in the quote-unquote national press to talk about what Lou Anarumo has done this year as far schematically what he has done in playing 5 defenders along the line of scrimmage, where you put a hand in the dirt, as they say, Hendrickson, Hubbard, 3 others, Reeder, back, especially against run-heavy teams. Whereas most teams are going 5 guys almost exclusively at all times in the secondary. So, I don't know enough about the X's and O's to make a determination about whether in passing situations, you rethink things a little bit, and maybe the 5 guys are down in the dirt to rush a passer, because Reeder is definitely, even coming back now, you could see it last week. He looked closer to the guy that we've seen for a well, at least since he joined this team, than he did in the first game back from his very significant injury. DJ Reeder should go to the Pro Bowl. I don't care if he missed a number of games or not. That guy is a stud.
Yeah.
He is.
He is a great football player.
Did you see the quote? Apparently, Derrick Henry got stopped by DJ Reeder early in the game, and Derrick Henry had the nerve to ask, "Who are you?" And DJ Reeder responds, "You know who I am." That dude doesn't get enough recognition, but I really, really doubt that Derrick Henry forgot who he was.
Derrick Henry's a sharp guy. I mean, come on. That's just all mind games. And then the other video, which stood out if you haven't seen it, and I don't watch a ton of this stuff, but man, even if you're not a Bengals fan, okay, now I'm going to take this out of the mix if you are a Titans fan. But if you're just a football fan, that video of Karras, have you seen this?
Oh,
Yeah.
We were going to use that actually for a
We couldn't
cherry
figure
on
out how to
top.
bleep it out, so we didn't use it.
It doesn't matter. We're streaming.
Oh, well,
Well,
we didn't want to put you in a bad spot.
You're
but-
not putting me. I didn't say it.
All right.
Lord knows I've paid the price for what I say. A bunch of other guys can say it, but
Yeah.
that whole Lamar Jackson debacle yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
But that video, that's the guy you want on your team.
Absolutely.
That's the guy. And everybody was talking about it when he first got here. That those guys, the new group along the offensive line, Jonah Williams, the only one from last season as a starter to come back. Everybody said that offensive line was being led by Karras. And man, that guy. Love that guy.